Breaking news coming out today, March 30th, 2025, as we're hearing that we could be potentially one step closer to war as there are threats of bombs being dropped, and this is all surrounding a nuclear dispute involving the United States and Iran. Take a look at the latest headlines with me. Trump threatens bombing if Iran does not make a nuclear deal. You can see this being updated just 3 hours ago. Also, Trump threatens to bomb Iran unless they end nuclear weapons program and begin talks on a new deal. Iran, we are hearing, has rejected the offer of direct U.S. negotiations over rapidly growing nuclear programs. So that is why we are hearing that there are threats of bombings, because this offer of negotiations has been rejected. Iran and the U.S. threat of war, 5 things to watch. Now, this coming out 2 days ago before we had this divulged here, and that is that Iran is rejecting this, and now there are threats of bombs being dropped in the Middle East. And take a look at this. Iran warns the U.S. against strikes, slams Israel strikes on Beirut. This is 3 ways right here: the United States, Israel, and Iran. And take a look. Iran threatens to strike the U.S. bases, and it says they will blow up the Middle East if Trump launches a military action over a nuclear deal, which we're hearing today. This is the exact threat that is coming out as American stealth bombers, they are being deployed to Chagos Island. We are hearing there are a lot of bombers from the United States that are now in the Middle East. So I'm going to be sharing with you the latest video footage, the headlines, the articles, so that way you can see it for yourself. As we're hearing, things have escalated and fast as Trump is threatening to bomb Iran over nuclear disputes that are currently taking place right now as of today, March 30th, 2025. So like I said, let's go ahead and dive into the video footage, the articles. I'm going to give you all the latest information, as you guys know, here on the channel. I put it on the screen, read right from it. It's hyperlinked down below. Try to hold myself to the highest level of accountability to my audience so that way you can see it for yourself and know and rest assured this is the latest information coming out. You'll see the sources, the dates, and if you appreciate that, before we dive in, please take a quick second, hit the like button. Help spread this out further across the YouTube platform. And to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not hit that subscribe button? And I'm going to keep you up to speed on everything, as we're hearing that things are significantly escalating today between the United States and Iran. Now, we have heard the United States, Donald Trump, say Iran under no means can have nuclear weapons. It is not okay. Now, they, for nuclear power, only need to enrich their uranium up to, I think it was like 3% or 6%, something very minimal. Well, they are enriching uranium up to 60%. And in order for them to get nuclear weapons, they need to be at 90%. Well, it is being reported, and it's been like this for quite some time, that they keep saying they are weeks away from potentially having a nuclear weapon. Well, now things are getting very tense between the United States and Iran, and Donald Trump is trying to come to a negotiation immediately, which makes a lot of people speculate that Iran actually is, right now at this moment, very close to creating nuclear weapons. And what does that spell out for Israel and the United States? Major concerns and threats. And we are hearing that right now they are saying they need to stop the movement forward in their nuclear deal and program. The United States is saying this to Iran, and Iran is rejecting it. And the United States is now threatening to bomb Iran as a result. And Israel is right there beside the United States. We're ready to strike Iran, as Iran has been threatening the United States and Israel for quite some time, calling them the big Satan and the little Satan, saying death to the United States, death to Israel. And now Donald Trump is getting very aggressive with Iran. So a lot unfolding. Let's go ahead and get you caught up. Let's start off with some video footage. And again, if you appreciate the updates, hit that like button, subscribe to stay up to date. But let's go ahead and take a look first at some breaking news video footage coming out today, just in the past few hours. Let's go ahead and take a look at this video footage.
And we are following some breaking news that we wanted to let you know about. This coming out of Iran, as the Iranian president has rejected direct negotiations with the United States over its nuclear program. The very latest is that Iran's president saying earlier today that the Islamic Republic rejected direct negotiations with the United States over its nuclear program, also offering Tehran's first response to a letter that President Trump sent to the country's supreme leader. The president saying that Iran's response delivered left open the possibility of indirect negotiations with Washington. However, such talks have not made any progress since President Trump, during his first term, unilaterally withdrew America from Tehran's nuclear deal with world powers in 2018. You're taking a live look right here at the White House as we continue to follow this breaking news. In the years since that, regional tensions have only increased into attacks at sea and land, coming after the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza, which saw Israel target militant group leaders across Iran's self-described axis of resistance. Now, as the U.S. conducts intense airstrikes targeting the Houthi rebels of Yemen, the risk of military action targeting Iran's nuclear program does remain on the table. Iran's president saying, quote, "We don't avoid talks. It's the breach of promises that has caused issues for us so far. They must prove they can build trust." The White House, though, not offering immediate reaction to this announcement. This comes as President Trump's letter following both Israel and the United States warning they will never let Iran acquire a nuclear weapon, leading to concerns over a military confrontation as Tehran enriches uranium at near weapons grade levels, which is something only done by atomic armed nations. Iran has long maintained its program is for peaceful purposes, even as its officials increasingly threaten to pursue the bomb. Since President Trump returned to the White House, his administration has consistently said that Iran must be prevented from acquiring nuclear weapons. A report in February by the UN's nuclear watchdog said Iran has accelerated its production of near weapons grade uranium. So we are continuing to follow that breaking news as earlier today, Iran's president rejecting direct negotiations with the United States over its nuclear program. Any new developments, of course, we will bring that to you right here on.
There you have it, you guys. So we are hearing that that was rejected this morning by Iran, saying that they would not do a nuclear deal with the United States. And now we're hearing that Donald Trump is saying, you better do a nuclear deal, because if you do not, we are going to drop bombs on you. We are prepared at this time. And Iran threatening back, saying, if you do that, just know that we will also strike U.S. assets in the Middle East. We will, they said, quote, blow up the Middle East. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, are we about to see things escalate, or will they de-escalate? Is Iran prepared to go to war with the United States, or is Iran going to come to the table for negotiations? Let me know your thoughts. Are we going to be entering into war? If you think we're going to be entering into war, put a 3 in the comments, because some saying that this would essentially lead us to World War III. Or if you think, no, we're going to be able to stave off potential war and avoid this conflict, Iran is not going to step up to the plate with the United States, put a 4. Let me know your thoughts. Now, also keep in mind that Iran also has the backing and support of their allies, which is Russia, North Korea, China. They have other nations that are helping them out quite a bit here. And even the fact that they don't have nuclear weapons doesn't mean that they couldn't potentially get their hands on a nuclear warhead from allies, which have plenty of them. Let me know your thoughts. And I'm seeing 3s pouring in the comments, people saying that they believe that this is the beginnings of potential World War III, an all-out war. And also, do me a favor, while you're dropping those 3s and 4s, don't forget, please take a quick second and hit that like button. Help spread this out further so more people can get the latest updated information. But things are definitely intensifying right now in the Middle East. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at these headlines here, these articles, so that way you can see it for yourself, just being updated. And again, this video footage coming out from earlier today, as we had heard that Iran's supreme leader had rejected the request of the United States to meet at the negotiation table to stop or halt their nuclear programs. And they said, Donald Trump said, if you do not halt, that we will bomb you. And that threat is being issued out now. It is coming out even more so today, later on, March 30th, 2025. So let's go ahead and take a look at this so that way you can see it for yourself. Now, it says Trump threatens bombing if Iran does not make a nuclear deal. You can see this being updated just 3 hours ago today, March 30th, 2025. This is going to be hyperlinked along with all the articles down in the description below. And it says, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened Iran on Sunday today with bombing and secondary tariffs if Tehran did not come to an agreement with Washington over its nuclear program. In Trump's first remarks since Iran has rejected direct negotiations with Washington last week, he told NBC News that U.S. and Iranian officials were talking but did not elaborate. If they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, Trump said in a telephone interview. It will be bombing, the likes of which they have never seen before. Now, there's a chance that if they don't make a deal, that I will do secondary tariffs on them like I did 4 years ago, he added. Iran sent a response through Oman to a letter from Trump urging Tehran to reach a nuclear deal, saying its policy was to not engage in direct negotiations with the United States while under its maximum pressure campaign and military threats. Tehran's foreign minister was quoted as saying on Thursday. Now, Iranian President Mossad Pezeshkian reiterated the policy on Sunday. Direct negotiations with the United States have been rejected, but Iran has always been involved in indirect negotiations, and now, too, the Supreme Leader has emphasized that indirect negotiations can still continue, he said, referring to Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. In the NBC interview, Trump also threatened so-called secondary tariffs, which affect buyers of a country's goods on both Russia and Iran. He signed an executive order last week authorizing such tariffs on buyers on Venezuelan oil. Trump did not elaborate on those potential tariffs. In his first 2017-2021 term, Trump withdrew the U.S. from a 2015 deal between Iran and the world powers that placed strict limits on Tehran's disputed nuclear activities in exchange for sanctions relief. Trump also reimposed sweeping U.S. sanctions. Since then, the Islamic Republic has far surpassed the agreed limits in escalating program of uranium enrichment. Now, Tehran has so far rebuffed Trump's warning to make a deal or face military consequences. Western powers accuse Iran of having a clandestine agenda to develop nuclear weapons capabilities by enriching uranium to a high level of fissile purity, above what they say is justifiable for civilian atomic energy programs. Tehran says its nuclear program is wholly for civilian energy purposes. So there you have it. But again, we're hearing that they have enriched it 10 times what is necessary for just simply nuclear energy. They have now enriched it up to 60%, and they're getting closer to 90%, which would be required for potential nuclear bombs. So that is why the threats are coming out. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you feel like the reason for these threats at this time is because the Trump administration feels that the threat from Iran is becoming dire? We've been hearing for quite some time that Iran is getting closer, they're getting closer, but now it is escalating significantly. Is it because Iran actually has the capability very soon, if not already, to have nuclear bombs, weapons that they could use against the U.S. or Israel? Let me know your thoughts. If you believe that is the reason, that right now it is severely imminent. If so, put yes. If you think no, it's just Trump is deciding to get aggressive with them just for right now, put no. But if you think it is because they are extremely close to potential nuclear weapons, put a yes in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. And as I mentioned, there are several articles coming out on this. Excuse me. Here's another one from Fox News. Trump threatens to bomb Iran unless they end nuclear weapons program and begin talks on a new deal. So we're hearing that these bombings could take place here very soon. These are the threats coming out from Donald Trump to Iran. Now, earlier today, you can see this came out early this morning, March 30th at around 7:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It reads, Iran has rejected the offer of direct U.S. negotiations over rapidly growing nuclear program. Now it says Iran refused President Trump's offer to open direct negotiations with the U.S. over its rapidly advancing nuclear program, despite the commander-in-chief's personal letter to the Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei. President Mossad Pezeshkian said the Islamic Republic cannot trust America, with the two nations avoiding direct talks following Trump's withdrawal from Tehran's nuclear deal during his first term. Now, we don't avoid talks. It's the breach of promises that has caused issues for us so far, Pezeshkian said in his first response to the letter Trump sent to Tehran regarding the nuclear program. They must prove that they can build trust, he added, although the possibility of direct negotiations between the two sides has been rejected in this response. It has been emphasized that the path of indirect negotiations remains open. So they are saying they are rejecting direct negotiations with the United States, but they're saying still on the side we can discuss things and maybe we could come to some sort of agreement still. Now, the response comes after the U.S. began an intense airstrike campaign against Iran-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen, with Trump warning that Iran's nuclear program may be a future target. The White House did not respond to Pezeshkian's statements Sunday. Trump revealed last month that he sent a letter to Grand Ayatollah Khamenei, calling on him to negotiate with the United States or face potential military action. Trump and Israel have warned that they will not allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons following reports from the UN's nuclear watchdog that Tehran's uranium enrichment projects are approaching weapons-grade levels. The International Atomic Energy Agency's latest report warned that Iran had significantly increased production and accumulation of high-enriched uranium. Iran has maintained that its nuclear projects are not focused on weapons, even as Tehran officials repeatedly threatened to pursue the bomb. Trump levied his latest threats against Iran on Sunday today, warning that the U.S. would bomb and place secondary tariffs against Iran if it did not reach a new nuclear deal with the United States. If they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, Trump told NBC News. It will be bombing, the likes of which they have never seen before. While Iran said direct talks weren't taking place, Trump claimed officials in Washington and Tehran were talking on the matter. Khamenei previously told the Trump administration that threats against Iran will get them nowhere, warning that any military action will result in a hard slap from Tehran. So, threats being issued back and forth between the United States and Iran. And as a result of all that is unfolding, you can see here, this coming out 2 days ago, Iran and the U.S. threat of war. 5 things to watch, as articles are coming out that are speculating that we could be entering into war here with Iran very soon. And again, let me know, 3 or 4 in the comments. 3 if you think we are on the verge of going to war. 4 if you think, no, we're going to be able to avoid this. Iran is not going to step up and have a war with the United States. Yet also keep in mind the fact that the United States is saying, we heard Donald Trump originally before say that Iran having nuclear weapons cannot happen. This is an existential threat to the United States and to Israel, our allies. And we had heard before when Israel was doing those strikes that the Biden administration had asked Israel to avoid oil refineries and nuclear facilities. They could go ahead and hit military assets if they'd like, but avoid hitting nuclear facilities and oil refineries. To which we heard the Trump administration, so Biden had asked that of Israel. The Trump administration, now that they're in, said, let Israel do what they want. Go for it. If you want to hit nuclear facilities, why not? It's not only helping Israel, it's helping the United States as well, as Iran poses a threat to both of us. So we're hearing that the United States and Israel, they're on the same page with hitting Iran, not allowing them to get to the point of having nuclear weapons. Yet at the same time, Iran is not backing down from the threats of Donald Trump and the U.S. And we're also hearing that Russia, North Korea, China, they are all in an alliance with Iran. They have each other's backs. And who knows, this, people are saying, could escalate to World War III, the conflict taking place right now in the Middle East. And right now, that's why we are seeing headlines coming out like this about Iran and the U.S. threat of war. 5 things to watch. Now, this article says tensions have been running high between the United States and Iran, with the U.S. President Donald Trump instituting a maximum pressure campaign against Tehran over its nuclear program and also launching airstrikes against Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen. And if you support that, and you are glad to see that Donald Trump is in maximum pressure against Iran, hitting the Houthi rebels, which have been attacking Israel, drop a 47 if you support what the current Trump administration is doing. Now, if you do not support it, put a 46 if you think that it should be the same approach that we saw from the previous administration. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Now, Trump has said that he would prefer a diplomatic solution to the standoff and sent a letter to the Islamic State's leadership offering talks, but has not ruled out military action. And U.S. forces have been building up their strengths in the region. Iran has said that there will not be direct talks while it is under pressure. So here are 5 key things to watch for. Iran's response to Trump's letter. Now, as I mentioned, this article came out 2 days ago. We now have seen the response, and that is they have rejected it. Iranian Foreign Minister Saeed Abbas Araghchi said Iran had responded to Trump's letter. The letter outlined Iran's views on the current situation following Trump's message, which has been delivered via a UAE emissary on March 12th. Trump had suggested opening negotiations for a new deal after withdrawing from the previous nuclear agreement in 2018. Araghchi emphasized that Iran would only engage in indirect talks while under U.S. maximum pressure and military threats. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei has reiterated that Iran refuses direct talks with the United States, citing distrust in Washington's commitment and agreements. Number 2, U.S. military buildup, and we are seeing this happening right now. The U.S. is intensifying its military buildup at Diego Garcia Air Base in the Indian Ocean amid rising tensions with Iran and ongoing strikes against Houthi forces in Yemen. Open source intelligence shows B-2 bombers and C-17 transport aircrafts arriving at or heading to the military base. Satellite images reveal additional deployment, including KC-135 refueling tankers as well. The buildup points to increased readiness for large-scale regional air operations, with the U.S. linking Iran to Houthi attacks and warning against Iran's nuclear ambitions. Iran says its nuclear program is peaceful. Iran continues threats against the United States, and we are literally seeing this just today as well. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bagher Qualibaf, warned that U.S. military bases and allies in the region would be targeted if the U.S. launched attacks on Iran. His statement followed deadly U.S. airstrikes in Yemen and the rising tensions over Iran's nuclear program. Speaking on International Quds Day, Qualibaf rejected negotiations under threat, equating them to surrender. Iran has dismissed U.S. diplomatic overtures amid renewed sanctions and increased military threats. Iran also recently conducted joint military drills with Russia and China in the Gulf of Oman. And again, those are their allies: Iran, Russia, China, North Korea. So again, just remember, the U.S. going to war with Iran is essentially the U.S. going to war with these others as well. James, thank you for the $10 super chat. Says happy Sunday to you and your family. Thank you for the update. You are very welcome. Iran's economy has been struggling as well. Now, Iran's currency, the rial, has plunged to a record low of $1,030,000 per U.S. dollar amid severe U.S. sanctions, stalled nuclear talks, and internal economic stability. Since President Mossad Pezeshkian took office, the rial has halved in value. Inflation has surpassed 40%, and food prices have doubled. The crisis has worsened with declining oil revenue and new U.S. sanctions targeting covert Iranian oil exports. The public, facing a deepening economic strain, is turning to gold and foreign currencies to safeguard their savings as uncertainty intensifies. And also U.S. attacks on Houthis. Iran-backed Houthi forces in Yemen announced plans to enhance their air defenses in response to ongoing U.S. airstrikes. The move follows President Trump's recent orders to target the Houthis after they threatened Red Sea shipping in solidarity with Hamas as it fights Israel in the Gaza Strip. The Houthis said that they would soon be able to down advanced U.S. warplanes, but gave no specifics. They also alleged attacks on the USS Harry S. Truman, though no damage was reported. So they are saying those are some things to watch as things are intensifying. And today we're hearing that there are major threats coming out, and a U.S.-Iran war. We could be right on the brink of this, as we are hearing that the U.S., Donald Trump, he is threatening bombings as we speak. Now, take a look at this. Iran warns the U.S. against strikes, slams Israel's strikes on Beirut. This updated today. And it says, as reports circulate that the U.S. is moving more military assets within striking distance of Iran, Tehran appears to be seeking to warn Washington against escalation. Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bakir Kalibaf spoke at Tehran University on International Quds Day on Friday, warning the United States, if they threaten Islamic Iran, then, like powder kegs, America's allies in the region and U.S. bases will be made unsafe. So there is the threat coming out from Iran to the United States. This is clearly a threat to U.S. forces in Iraq, the Gulf, and perhaps even Syria. The U.S. has bases in Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, and the UAE. The U.S. also has forces at the Al-Assad Air Base in Iraq, in northern Iraq, and a number of posts in eastern Syria. Kalibaf says if the United States carries out military threats against Iran, U.S. allies and American military bases in the region will be made unsafe. Iranian state media reported. Clearly, this is also implying that Iran could strike at Israel or Gulf states in retaliation for a strike. Recent reports indicate the U.S. has moved at least 4 stealth B-2 bombers to the island of Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. Kalibaf also referred to U.S. President Donald Trump's letter to Iran. America's attitude in the letter is one of a bully, but you can neither bully nor deceive the Iranian nation. Iran's supreme leader has also cautioned against direct talks with the U.S. It appears the Iranian president and foreign minister are more keen on talks. Kalibaf spoke to U.S. threats as being a potential prelude to war. Trump has reportedly given the Iranians about 60 days to decide. This means they will need to decide in late May. So, man, there you have it, you guys. We are hearing that they are threatening that this is the prelude to war. This is the beginnings of a potential war here. And Trump has reported that they have 60 days to decide whether or not they're going to be continuing their nuclear program. ALPC, thank you for the $20 super chat. I appreciate that a ton. I will continue to keep you up to date. And let me know your thoughts. I see Hammer Time saying Tehran will soon be rubble. Man, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm still seeing 47s pouring in the comments as well. And I see somebody saying that they were talking about bullying. Man, let me know your thoughts. If you support this, put a 47 in the comments. Donald Trump saying he is not going to have this anymore and that he is threatening bombing Iran over what is going on. Iran is saying the U.S. is bullying them, but we're hearing that right now things are intensifying, and it could be because Iran is now officially on the brink of having a nuclear weapon. Iran will not engage in negotiations, the article reads. According to the Islamic Republic news agency, Kalibaf, slamming Israel, also said the hegemonic system has survived by oppressing humanity, and the Zionist regime is, in fact, criminal, America's killing machine. Kalibaf is known for flying into Beirut during Israel's campaign against Hezbollah to show support for Hezbollah. Israel would not have survived for a week without U.S. support, he said on Friday. Iran typically uses Al-Quds Day, the last Friday in Ramadan, to try to get people to protest and hate Israel. This year, it was more muted because Iran lost influence in Syria and other places. Tehran has strongly condemned Israel's latest military assaults on residential areas in Beirut, calling them a blatant violation of the ceasefire agreement between the Zionist regime and the Lebanese resistance movement, Hezbollah. IRNA also said on Saturday, Iran wants to show it still backs Hezbollah, even though Hezbollah is now much weaker than in the past. The Islamic Republic's Foreign Ministry spokesperson, Ismail Baqi, slammed Israel for its strikes on Hezbollah. Israel struck Beirut in response to recent rocket fire, and Israel also carried out other strikes last week in response to rockets launched against it. Rejecting Israel's justifications for the attacks as baseless, he emphasized that the global community must adopt decisive measures against Israel's continued violations across the region, from Gaza to Lebanon and Syria, the IRNA wrote. Meanwhile, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi also said Iran will not engage in negotiations under pressure or threat from the United States. Araghchi has reiterated that the Islamic Republic will not engage in negotiations under pressure or threat, emphasizing that the country is ready both to thwart threats and engage in diplomacy, he said in a report. He made the comment to Al-Alam Media in Iran on Al-Quds Day. Anyone who speaks to the Iranian people with the language of threats will receive the same response, he said. Araghchi expressed doubt over the practical implementation of what he said were U.S. threats. We are fully ready for both threats and diplomacy, he added. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister for Legal and International Affairs, Kazim Garahababadi, also announced the holding of expert nuclear talks between Iran and 3 European countries in Geneva. Specialized and technical talks between the 4 countries on the nuclear issue and the lifting of sanctions were held at the expert level in Geneva on Thursday, he wrote on Twitter. So there you have it, you guys. Things escalating. Iran warning the United States. Now, let me know your thoughts. Are you concerned about these threats from Iran? Or do you feel like these threats from Iran mean nothing? The United States will, as somebody put in the comments, turn Iran into rubble if we actually have a conflict. If you are concerned about these threats, put a 1 in the comments. If you are not, put a 2. Let me know your thoughts, as a lot of people vocalizing, they feel like we're going to be going to war. But the question is, are you concerned about this war? Do you feel like Iran could essentially pose a threat, that they could somehow slip past U.S. forces and cause damage to U.S. assets, maybe even on U.S. soil? Or do you think, no, the United States will aggressively handle Iran? I also heard a lot of people say before that during the Biden administration, they felt unsafe and felt like with open borders that there were sleeper cells. People could come into the United States and plan potential attacks. And we actually saw the FBI capture a lot of people that were planning to do just that. However, with the current Trump administration, we're hearing that those borders are closed and they are shipping people out. So let me know your thoughts. 1, if you are concerned. 2, if you think no, the United States is going to turn Iran and their threats into rubble. Let me know what you think in the comments. I am seeing 1s and 2s pouring in. People, a little bit of mixed opinions on this. Some people are saying they are concerned about this. Others saying not so much. But we are hearing that Iran is threatening the United States back directly as well. So the United States saying to Iran, we want to have a diplomatic solution. We want to have peace. We want to have you put an end to your nuclear deal. We don't want you to have a nuclear weapon. Iran rejecting that letter, saying that this is bullying from the United States. And the United States saying, well, then we might bomb you. And Iran saying, well, we will bomb you back if that is what you want. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this article right here that is also going to give us a little bit more update on this. As you can see, it says Iran threatens to strike U.S. bases and blow up the Middle East if Trump launches military action over nuclear deal, as American stealth bombers are deployed in Chagos Islands. And you can see this coming out 2 days ago and updates 2 days ago. And now we are seeing things actually moving in this direction today with updates coming out on the 30th of March, Sunday. Iran has threatened to strike American bases and blow up the entire Middle East if Donald Trump follows through on his warning of military action in the absence of a nuclear deal, which we're hearing has been rejected. President Trump earlier this month sent a letter to Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei urging Tehran to reach a new nuclear deal. He warned there are 2 ways Iran can be handled: military, or you can make a deal. Iran has now sent a response to the letter, which they say was appropriately sent through Oman, rebuffing Trump's warning to make a deal or face consequences. If the American attack the sanctity of Iran, the entire region will blow up like a spark in an ammunition dump, Iranian parliament speaker Mohammad Qualbaf said on Friday. Their bases and those of their allies will not be safe, he said. So again, this reiterating the same things that we had heard before, as they said that the United States bases, their assets, their allies will not be safe if the U.S. moves forward with these threats of bombings. It says on Friday it was reported by state media saying that while Trump's letter contained threats, it also left the door open to diplomacy. He did not elaborate. The U.S., however, has seemingly issued its own warning to Iran and its rebel proxies by deploying at least 3 B-2 stealth bombers to Diego Garcia Island. So we are hearing that the U.S. bombers, they are ready. They are at Diego Garcia Island ready to attack Iran. And here you can actually see some satellite footage. Let's take a look at these clips here, these photos. Iran has threatened to strike American bases and blow up the entire Middle East. And you can see some pictures here. And here is another one. And it says satellite images from Planet Labs PBC shows 3 B-2 circled right here, parked at Camp Thunder Cove on Diego Garcia on Wednesday. America is believed to be bringing additional firepower to their military bases, and you can see them right here. They're saying they are ready to go, those bombers. Now reading on, it says, satellite images from Planet Labs PBC showed 3 B-2s parked at Camp Thunder Cove on Diego Garcia on Wednesday. America is believed to be bringing additional firepower to the military base, as radio transmissions and flight tracking data suggest the U.S. Air Force is moving several aircrafts to Diego Garcia. At least 4 more jets are reportedly on their way. The Telegraph reports, citing unconfirmed open-source intelligence, 7 C-17 aircrafts, which are typically used for rapid deployment of troops, cargo, and supply, have also landed at the base in recent days, according to Sky News. The B-2 Spirit and the B-2 Bomber is a highly advanced stealth bomber capable of carrying both conventional and nuclear weapons. The plane, designed by the U.S. Air Force, is known for its ability to penetrate enemy defenses. The B-2's design incorporates advanced stealth technology to make it difficult to detect by radar, allowing it to penetrate heavily defended airspaces. Diego Garcia Island is a strategic hub, as it puts both Yemen and Iran in range of U.S. planes. It also provides a closer location for the long-range bombers to launch that's still far outside of range of the rebels and avoids using allies' Middle East bases. So they are saying that they are moving their bombers in that direction, getting ready for potential attacks as threats are being issued back and forth between the two. The surge in military assets comes amid reports that suspected U.S. airstrikes pummeled sites across Yemen controlled by Iranian-backed Houthi rebels earlier Friday, including neighborhoods in the capital Sana'a. The extent of the damage and possible casualties wasn't immediately clear, though the number of strikes appeared particularly intense compared to other days in the campaign that began March 15th. Initial reports from the Houthi described at least 7 people being hurt in the attack Friday in Sana'a, Yemen's capital, that the rebels have held since 2014. Other strikes hit around the Red Sea port city, the rebels' stronghold, Sana'a, and in Yemen's Al-Jaf, Amran, and Marib governorates. The Houthis did not immediately acknowledge what at those sites had been targeted. Other than Sana'a International Airport, which is used for both civilian and military traffic, neighborhoods in the capital also are home to military and intelligence service sites, as well as crowded with civilians. So there you have it, you guys. We are hearing that this is escalating significantly. There are threats back and forth. And again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we about to enter into war? Do you think that this is going to be leading to an escalation? World War III? If so, put a 3 in the comments. If no, put a 4. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I see people saying all things must come to pass. I see Raymond saying Ram rocks. Tony says, hey, Steve, thank you. I appreciate the comments, the compliments. I'll continue to keep you guys up to date on all of this and let you know what's going on as we have this breaking news coming out today, March 30th, 2025. It's Sunday, that we are hearing that the request by the United States to Iran to de-escalate their nuclear program, to stop it, to keep them from enriching more uranium to the point of which they could create a nuclear bomb, Iran has rejected that and said that they will not be making any decisions for negotiations while they are under max pressure from the United States, and that there could be negotiations going on indirectly, but there will be no direct negotiations taking place with the U.S. Now, we will see what comes of this, because Donald Trump said either you can choose diplomacy and negotiations or you can choose to be bombed. And Iran responded back saying, if you decide to bomb us and if you decide to go this route, we will be bombing you, your assets, your allies as well. So you make the decision. And they also said this is the prelude to war, that they are prepared to go to war at this time. And you can see from the articles we just read that the United States is also positioning bombers as well in striking range of both Yemen and Iran, ready at any moment, if necessary, to go to war. The articles also said that Donald Trump is saying he's going to be giving Iran 60 days to make their decision. If you want to escalate things, we are ready. If you want to de-escalate things, we're going to be ready at the negotiating table. But right now, let me know your thoughts, because this is intensifying significantly at this time. And there is the speculation that is because at this moment, Iran is very close to having a nuclear bomb, which they could choose to use against the United States or Israel. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Holiday, thank you for the $5 super chat, says repent. And I saw a lot of people saying repent, get right with the Lord. I see Deborah saying get your house in order. Jesus has this. Absolutely. Thank you for that super chat. Mike says we are already at war. Yeah, let me know your thoughts. I've heard a lot of people say that, saying that, you know what, we're not going to war. We're already in war. These are the preludes to something even bigger. But right now they're going to write the history books, and I've heard a lot of people say that they're going to say the beginning of World War III, it could have been on October 7th, 2023, when Hamas struck Israel in that attack. Who knows? We will see how far this thing escalates. Now, regardless of what happens, I will be sure to keep you guys up to date here on the channel and let you know every step of the way as this develops. If it goes towards diplomacy or if it goes to all-out war and bombings, I'll be sure to let you know here on the channel. But you guys, this is the latest coming out today, March 30th, 2025. All of these articles are hyperlinked in the description. All you got to do is click them. You can go see the sources, see the dates, and you can rest assured to know that this is the latest. And again, if you appreciate that, do me a favor, if you haven't done so yet, hit that like button. Helps spread this out further so more people can get the updates. Share this out, and also subscribe to stay up to date. Hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. And I see people saying war is about to start. I see somebody else saying a nuclear scenario. We will see. Please pray that we don't go that direction. But regardless, I'll keep you up to date. That is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless.